Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the New Jersey Film Festival Spring 2023 Filmmaker Interview Q&A session that we will be having a number of these over the course of the next few weeks with filmmakers whose films will be screening at our festival, which will be taking place between January 27th and February 19th. There'll be screenings. We'll be showing 45 films out of some 600 that we received, 650, 670. Can't remember the exact number, but we got a lot of movies. And we're only showing about 3% of what we received. So it was a very selective film. And today we're going to be speaking to Eric Boadella. I think I got it right. And
Yes.
he's the director of the wonderful feature film City of Love, that is about a fellow who's released from prison and who's now trying to find his way after being incarcerated for almost 30 years. So I love this film on so many levels. The cinematography is just beautiful. The two lead actors are amazing. They're really very, very compelling. And there's so many things I wanted to talk to you about, but I guess the best way to start is to ask you, how did you decide you were going to make this film? Why did you make this film?
Um, so I had in mind for years to, right after I made my first feature film 8 years ago, I had in mind to do a movie, kind of a tribute. I don't know if to say a tribute, but a movie inspired by Taxi Driver, kind of like a modern take on it. But I didn't have a story, I didn't have anything, but that was always in my mind to do a movie like that, like long story short, like a driver that goes nuts, right? I had that in the background of my head for years, and then little by little, the story came together. And I finally got the story when I met with the co-writer, Sara Patarini, who's friends with Robert De Cesare, the main actor.
Cool.
We kind of conceptualized the movie together. Me and Sarah wrote the script, but the three of us conceptualized the movie, and that's how it came to life. Like the three of us was thinking, okay, let's do this. Let's write a movie that we can. Or also, we wanted to make. We created a production company for this, so we wanted to make a movie that we could co-produce at least, that wasn't like high budget, and then it's when I thought, oh, maybe that idea about the driver, that's a perfect idea, because it's most of the scenes is the driver driving passengers, so that could be a good low budget idea. So that's how it all started.
I mean, obviously I was going to say there's definitely so many connections to Taxi Driver, and yeah, I don't know if you know this, Eric, but Marty Scorsese is a friend of our festival. He came to do a benefit for us back in the 90s when he was writing Casino. He was writing Casino, so it's one of the reasons I think that there's a connection between our two movies is through Scorsese. But I think your film is different from Taxi Driver.
It's very different. It just I was just explaining that as responding to your question, that how it came to mind to do a movie like this. But again, it's not at all like a Taxi Driver follow-up. No, it's not.
Yeah.
The only thing they have in common is that there is a driver as a main character.
Right. And I think your film talks about many issues that are very current. And what does a person do when they get out of jail after such a long period of time, and there's absolutely no support system for these people to help them? And so I think your film subtly addresses that issue. Also, the lack of healthcare, I think, is also a very big concern in your film, which motivates a lot of the way that the lead character Spencer moves in his film. And there's also, crazy people planning to shoot up religious institutions, which also is something that unfortunately is. So I think your film folds in many issues that are active in contemporary society, contemporary American society. And, I really like the title of your film, because everybody calls Hollywood or Los Angeles the city of dreams, but here we have the city of love. But how did you end up calling it City of Love. Why did you settle on that as your title?
Well, I think it's, I don't really remember where I think mostly was because that's what the main character is seeking, right? And he is when he's released from jail, he goes back to his city, he goes back to his place, but it's gone. In a way, it's gone, and because um, the family he had is gone, the friends he had is gone, everything, basically the love he had is gone. He's physically in the same place, but the city of love he knew is gone. So he's seeking that during the movie, and that's, I think, where I thought, oh, maybe city of love, because actually because of the lack of love, what he's seeking with the, and there is the this romantic element in the story with Molly, with the other main character,
Yeah.
which it may or it may not, I don't want to spoil the movie, but it may or it may not develop to a romantic story, right? So those two elements together made me think, so maybe City of Love, even if it's not a romantic movie, it's more like a drama, crime,
Well, I think that's, I think another, subtle criticism of Los Angeles, which can be a really nasty place,
exactly.
Everybody is trying to get into the industry, and, there's so many people that have to settle on being waiters or actors, out of work actors. So I think, it's an ironic title to me in some way.
It's an ironic title, and we try to show that with the passengers as well.
Yeah.
Having the exactly same irony that you're describing with the title, we're trying to have it with the passengers. That lack of connection, that lack with love or connection with reality, makes some passengers that have a normal life compared to the main character who's just been released to jail. He's not, he's struggling, but sometimes we see that they may be more mean or more like disconnected, right?
Yeah, they just treat him as if he's just a servant.
So that's also part of the title.
I definitely get it. And I mean, I did see it on the license plate, so I know that it does come from the license plate that he has on his car. It does say City of Love. So I thought, okay, well, that I understood the subtlety of that too. But I really think Robert plays Spencer, he just gets into the character, and you feel what he feels. And I think everybody at some point probably goes through that type of feeling, where you're trying to reconnect. You've been put in this situation. You realize that he's in jail, or he was in jail, and he had probably a valid reason. I mean, it's never good to do anything bad without giving away what takes place in the film, but you realize that he's really not a bad guy. He's just been dealt a very bad hand, I think, in terms of life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of the movie, and that was my main goal as a filmmaker when I was filming and getting ready to shoot, to make sure that that it's an anti-hero story in a way, but and he's a criminal, but he's the hero of our story. So we didn't want it to be like maybe this sounds so simple, but we didn't want it to be him, the bad guy, even if he's the criminal. So that's why also there is the city that sometimes is the bad guy, or the passengers, or the circumstances of his past. We try to make the main character as human as possible, even if he is a criminal. And he does things during the movie that maybe are not criminalized, but are like morally wrong sometimes. He's not like he does things you know, I don't want to tell them because that happens towards
Yeah,
the end of the movie. So
I
it's hard
understand.
to me, but he does things
Yeah,
that
yeah,
maybe, well, this makes me uncomfortable. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't like a person who does that.
yeah.
But still, we want him to still to be the hero of the story
Yeah,
in
I
a
mean,
way.
he's definitely the hero despite himself. I mean, I think there's three elements where he's involved in situations that actually make the world a better place ultimately.
Yes,
And he unfortunately doesn't benefit from that, but other people do.
he doesn't benefit for that, but he does it. He doesn't do it for himself either.
So that leads me to ask you: is there a kind of Christ parable too? I mean, is Spencer in a way kind of equated to Jesus in the way that he gives himself for others? Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's a good. Robert will tell you yes. I didn't think about that while writing the script, but as I told you before, that was a work between me and building Spencer was a work between me and Robert and Sarah. And Robert uh, uh, put a lot of the religious element into the movie, and I think he thought about that a lot while creating the character. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
was probably most his word than mine. That this and he mentioned that I think a couple of times the analogy between Robert and the
I
religious.
mean, to be honest with you, Eric, I just kind of thought of that as I was talking to you because I watched the movie again very recently, and I said, you know, he does a lot of good, and at the same time he's a rebel, and Jesus was a rebel. So I and all the iconography that we see throughout the car, and it's interesting that you tell me that Eric developed that, and I think that shows how much of a collaborator you are as a director working with your actors, that they're able to help shape the development of their own character, which is really wonderful.
No, 100%, and more with these independent films where
Yeah,
there is not a budget, a distribution deal all in place at the beginning, so you rely on collaboration. All this movie was done with a lot of collaborations and mostly with actors, and and I think where you see the movie, you mentioned it before, you realize good performances, you realize good cinematography. That's because I collaborate uh, with the artists. I'll let them be part and own this movie in a way,
that's
in
great.
a creative way. Otherwise, why do an independent film
Yeah,
that's not going to make millions, right? It's for the love of art, so
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
has to be in that boat.
That's why
So
we really liked your film.
like
That definitely, you see that in your film. Those are the types of films we want to champion because, you know, the big budget movies always get their attention whether because they have money. We're here to promote good, interesting films, and yours is certainly one of them. I wanted you to tell me a little bit about the character who plays Molly Sullivan too. She's really great. How did you
that.
find her?
Well, so we find her traditional, well, not traditional because that was during COVID time, so everything was
Mm.
happening online. But I was about to say traditional auditions and traditional casting. We didn't have a Molly when we were preparing the movie, so we had to cast that role. And but we did have Spencer Roberts. So what we did, we did auditions and casting sessions with all the potential Mollys. And
Mm.
then when we had like 10 or 15 or 20, I don't remember, that we liked, we connected them with Robert.
Mm.
But with him actually being, with Robert being a Spencer already, like he was making them uncomfortable a little bit. And we did like a session, uh, like two of them online. We did a couple of scenes, and that's what we how we choose Molly. Like when we saw her with acting with Spencer, we saw right away that, oh,
I
this is
thought
gonna.
everybody you chose, from Robert's aunt to Molly's roommate, all those people are really interesting. And the people in the back seat too were, and the way that you connected some of the people in the back seat to earlier scenes, I thought also was really quite wonderful.
Oh,
So
okay, thank
yeah, I
you.
think you did a great job with that. My favorite scene is the car wash scene. I mean,
The car
when
machine.
he takes Molly out, and that whole scene is just perfect in so many ways, because of the lighting, the way that they interact, what Molly was expecting versus what she ends up getting in terms of the interaction with Robert,
Yeah, I'm glad you like the
Spencer.
car,
Yeah,
that scene, because that scene is one of the it's one of those scenes that maybe we shouldn't do in an indie film because it's not easy to make. We basically had a car wash stop for us and and we put lights inside the car wash. That's why the lighting looks so good. We like where the and we were controlling the car wash like the car, so we could um, do the scene several times inside the car wash and make the scene look very special. And that was one of those scenes that it could fail or not, but if we do it right, it would be the special scene of the movie
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
it definitely was.
And it's the moment where it looks that Spencer may have a chance in life. It's the scene that the special scene where it may look that, oh, maybe Spencer is gonna uh, move on and have a new friend. So it had to look positive in a way and
Yeah.
special, magical. It's kind of like a
Yeah,
magical.
it definitely is magical. I think you should be very, very proud of it. And I made a film back in the mid 80s that takes place where I use a lot of the interior of a car wash, not in the same way, because the car washes now are all digital, you know, they're all computerized. And the old car wash that we used was very mechanical. And we went through the car wash so many times and it was really quite wonderful. But your film is just, that scene is definitely magical. There's a number of magical scenes in your film that I think are really amazing. The scene with the, well, I won't mention it. Audience has got to see the film to appreciate all the magical moments. So actually, why don't I do that now? Since I think I would like to share the screen so I can show people how they can get access to tickets. So when folks are going to be looking to get tickets, our normal website is njfilmfest.com. And this is the location where the films are going to be screened because we're a hybrid festival. It'll be screening in person on the show date, but there'll also be screenings online. We do limited hybrid screening where people can see the movie online because we developed a new audience during COVID and we don't want to shut them out. So we have tickets that are also made available, limited tickets to people who want to watch it online. And so you would go down to current events, which is where you'll see the ticket info schedule button that you click on. And that will bounce you to our Eventive site, which is where all of the information about the festival is provided. The festival site is the main location. This is the welcome page. And the welcome page is very generic, just tells you about the festival itself, information about how the films were selected, where to go for the live screenings, a link for the map on how to get to us. And then if you're going to come to the in-person screening, you've got to register your vehicle with the university because we're screening our films. This is our 41st year, Eric. I don't know if you knew
Oh,
that.
I knew that. Yeah, I read. Yeah, I knew that.
We've been doing it for a long time. So this is the main location to where to get tickets. So if you wanted to get tickets for City of Love, which is playing on opening weekend, it's a Saturday night special at 7 o'clock. We'll be doing City of Love in person at Voorhees Hall, which is located on the Rutgers University campus in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And if you want to buy tickets, it says sold out. I think that's a glitch in the system. I don't think we've opened up the schedule yet to the public, so that will not be there. But that's where you would click on getting tickets. And tickets are $15 per program. And if you want to get an all access pass, it's $100. If you want more information about each individual film, you go to the film guide and you work to City of Love and you can see, here's a nice picture of Robert. Oh, I guess it changes once you go to the other side. This is the car wash scene. So
Yeah,
you can
we
see
were
how
talking about it.
beautiful it looks and basic information about all the main characters and the people who wrote the film and produced it. So let me just stop sharing. So folks want to get more information, you can go to that site. And like I said, everything will be live December 1st. I think our website has been live. You can see it, but you can't really start buying tickets until after December 1st. Anyway, so I wanted to just ask you one other question that I wrote down. You included found footage of Nosferatu, and I wondered why you included that in your film. I mean, I teach that movie, so I'm very familiar with it, and I kind of think I know why, but I'd like to hear it from you.
So this was a decision that we made during the editing. We didn't have that originally, but during the editing, originally we had a different theme. We had more like a funny. We actually shot that scene for a different moment. So in a way, long story short, what happened is that scene wasn't about to be used. The scene where he's looking at the TV, because for the moment we shot during the editing didn't work out. But I wanted to use it because I like that scene where Spencer is like kind of like acting weird by himself at home looking at something. And then I learned that Nosferatu is 100 years old, so I could use it. And I thought this could be a good moment for when, I don't want to spoil it because but this could be a good moment for when things are not, when the monster inside Spencer is coming out, because there is a moment that Spencer is losing it. Okay, let's say it that way. And him in front of Nosferatu, which is like a monster, like a bad character, it's almost, to me, it's like he's looking at the mirror in that moment. He's the bad Spencer is coming out. So I thought, and there is I used the moment where Nosferatu looks into the camera, which is very unusual in movies. And in Nosferatu, I remember, that was the only thing I remember. I saw Nosferatu maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, and I remember that's the only thing I remember, the monster looking at the camera, the Nosferatu, and that how scary that was. And that's how I use it, so they can look at each other.
And I also thought of the connection with Molly too, because Spencer is kind of stalking Molly and Nosferatu is
yeah, exactly. And that actress in Nosferatu kind of
looks a little bit like her.
Looks a little bit the style, like the red hair and a little bit the style. So there is that analogy too. That's right.
Very cool. Very cool. Anyway, folks, so I want to thank you, Eric, for joining us for this Q&A. And we look forward to screening your film to our audience. And I want to thank you for interacting with me for these last 25 minutes. And folks, you absolutely have to come and check out City of Love on January 28th at the New Jersey Film Festival. Thanks again for hanging out, Eric.
No, thank you. And I just want to encourage people to go see the film in person. I'll do my best to be there so I can meet also with the audience, and if they can ask me any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much.